Well, this is our Garland Dodd Park, or as I like to call it, Point of Rocks Park. It's a nice, clear, sunny, rather cool day. It's in the low 40s, mid 40s, whatever. But anyway, even today, as cold it is, that field right there is neat because you'll see deer around it, and it grows up so high. It's over 6 foot tall once the stuff comes up and all. It's just a big meadow. But there's actually sulfur butterflies flying around out there. I'm not sure if they're cloudless or clouded or what they are, but that's part of the part I like about the park. The other part is over here. That's the it's part of the Appomattox. The Appomattox is actually on the other side of what that is. That's actually an island out there. This is where the river splits. I think up there is actually the Appomattox. I think that's the head of the island right up there. But the other nice thing or neat thing about this park is most everywhere in Virginia around here. Over there, you see that over there. That's actually a fort or an embankment, I guess, from the Civil War, part of the Civil War. They rebuilt a lot of this stuff. That's all new. That structure is all new right there to get up on there and all. They've rebuilt a few of the bridges around here. It's really neat. It's a nice park, and there's just all kind of places to walk around here. You really can't get lost. And there's one of the mouths of one of the tributaries that comes back into the marsh area back here, which is that's what I'm heading to now, is the floating boardwalk, which is always fun to walk over because you never know what you're going to see there. I've seen eagles, which is always kind of neat, on the other side of the marsh area there. I've seen osprey and hawks, red-shouldered hawks, and other kind of hawks and all. I've actually seen one catch a snake out in the marsh out there, which was kind of neat. The boardwalk used to be longer than what it is now. Over here, if you look, there's some, I don't know if you can see it, there's some pilings in the distance there. That used to be an elevated platform that hooked to the land to the left of that, and that was part of the trail. That's all closed now because of the, I guess, erosion or whatever. They just, and it was a fixed boardwalk at that time. It did not float. So it was raised up on pilings and all. But I was here one time with my brother, and we were in this area right here, and he noticed it, I didn't, but I've seen it since. It was it's the biggest snake I've ever seen. It was a big old black snake. It was over 6 foot long, and it was draped on one of these trees down here. And we went down there and kind of gently poked it, and it wasn't none too happy with that. It didn't bite us or anything, but we didn't want to mess with it because it was something to see a snake that old and that big. And it was just, it was worth the experience. But there's one of the overlooks from the marsh boardwalk. And we're getting down to it now. But I've also seen on this side here, I thought it was a snake at first, and come to find out it was an eel. I've never seen an eel in a while, but it was over right down in here. This is usually underwater, maybe a foot of water, if that much. But it'll come up, and you can see the bridge out there and all, and this is the whole marsh area. You got the trees on both sides, and it's very shallow. The boardwalk is really neat. Like I said, right now it's pretty much resting on the bottom. I've seen the tide low on this. As low as it could be. But it's pretty low. Usually these things are sitting in water. live in. And it's neat because it's got, I mean, if you did something, it's like little bitty pine cones, the seed pods were. Just those little pine cones. And you got a lot of little tributaries, and there's a lot of wildlife. I mean, there's geese out here. There's a lot of hares. But it gets pretty tall where you can't see anything around there. So, up and down. And down we go. Okay. But you can see the rusticity of it right here. This end, when the water's up high, this end will be underwater where it's just, you can't really cross it. Because unless you want to get your feet wet, it's underwater. But this, like I said here, it's not more than 2 or 3 feet deep right here. It looks deeper, but it's not that deep. But you'd sink pretty good in it, I would think, if you stepped into it. It's all just silt and mud. Like I say, the biggest thing you see out here, I don't see any, well, I've seen a few. There's some out over that way. Canadian geese come here and hang out in here and all. You usually see a lot of them. They just haven't made it here today. Or yet. And the actual park is, direction there's ball fields and everything else. So it's a pretty family-oriented place for doing things. There's ball fields, there's soccer fields, there's picnic pavilions. So it's really a nice park. It's in walking distance of the house, but if I want to go for a long walk, I'll walk here. But usually I'll stop recording. I mean, it's 2 minutes tops, maybe 2 minutes to drive here. The road to get here is new since we moved here, but the road was always kind of there because I biked it before to get over here. And now that they finished it, there's developments on both sides of it. Actually, the old GPS I had actually showed a road there where there was a road. That's how we found the place road now. We just happened to stumble across it. We realized it's one of the this all hadn't been knocked down. And you'll find there's a skull bone down there from some fish. I'm not sure what type of fish it is. There's a pretty good bit of water interesting because you go another 5 minutes in that general direction, you'll hit the James River. So we're close to all the rivers. And there's another overlook. So it goes up pretty high. It's about I don't know, by the time you climb up to where the park is and all, it's probably about 50-foot drop from there down to here. I've actually seen, one of the last times we were walking here, we actually saw, I'm sure it was an otter, was swimming up in here, and then it just kind of disappeared. And we figured there's a burrow or its lair or den or whatever that it swam into. So, oh, there's another bird. Okay, well, that's about it. Like I said, there's people out here every once in a while. Well, it's cold today. There's usually a lot more people out here walking their dogs and walking the trails and everything else. And also, like I said, this is one of the, to me, it's one of the highlights of the park. And I'm sure most people, a lot of people might not even be aware of all this, but because they're here for the sports park and all. So, all right.